Okay. Flat Earth found me. I'm just a normal guy, business guy. Was in corporate America, started my own business, was doing very well. I was doing a conspiracy podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole out of New York City. And we were investigating all sorts of deceptions that were going on in the world. And then in the third year, people started to say, "Hey, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth?" And as any sound thinking person would do, I would delete that email and ban them from our social media for being so stupid to ask such a question like that. But then I was forced to look, and I said, all right, that's it. I'm going to prove flat Earth wrong. And I'm going to prove the globe and put an end to this. Well, 6 years later, I've left my own company. I am the host of the Flat Earth podcast. I am the creator of the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which we'll talk about. And here I am talking to you guys, trying to spread light on the world. Let me comment. You said four things. You're a lawyer, so that's great because you base your work on evidence and not belief. You know, you can believe something, but that doesn't matter. But the evidence is what matters. So that's great. You say you're a Christian. Well, that's fantastic. Because starting on page 1 of the Bible, it talks about God separating the waters from the waters and putting a dome over us. That's on page 1. Then
what about the?
We'll get.
Hold on.
Yeah.
There's 200 more verses in the Bible that talk about a flat, immovable Earth. None of them talk about planets, balls, or anything. But that's all right. I don't actually lead with that because people believe in the Bible, people don't believe in the Bible. I like the science. And then what else did you say? You said that you were taught in school that the Earth is a ball, but I was just like you. I was like, yeah, there's a million proofs. And when you look into it, there's no proofs of the ball. You were just told, and you were memorized the information, and we regurgitate it. And those that regurgitate the best are the teachers of the next generation. So it's a lie being on top of a lie on top of a lie. So we'll get into it. I'd like to start, if it's okay, about explaining what the flat Earth isn't, because most people that hate flat Earth have a false look at it because they've been gate-capped when they search for flat Earth. Is that all right? You made a comment. You said that you believe in consensus. Well, consensus isn't science. If a majority of people believe something, that doesn't make it true. That just means they've been indoctrinated into that belief. It could be the one guy that thinks differently and has the evidence, but no one's willing to look at the evidence. So we can get into all of that. But the other thing is, I interviewed a woman in January of 2020, 102 years old, and I was interviewing her about the world's fairs. And she was remembering her 5th birthday party, like in detail. And I asked her where she went to elementary school. She knew what street it was on, the name of the school, the teacher, kids in her class. And I asked her what she was taught in school and about the Earth. And she said, I was taught the Earth was flat in the early 1920s. And then we found another woman in Croatia who in the 1930s said everyone in Croatia knew the Earth was flat in the 1930s. And then we found newspaper articles on microfilm from all over the world, Europe, America, that were talking about teachers being persecuted for teaching heliocentrism in the early 1900s. So this takeover that happened to our world happened 100 years ago, not 500 years ago or 2,000 years ago. Everybody in the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s knew the Earth was flat. And then some group of people or whatever has changed the narrative. They started all the world wars. They're trying to destroy the evidence, but the evidence is still here. So if you Google flat Earth, you end up at the Flat Earth Society, and this is what you'll see at the Flat Earth Society. You'll see a disk in space with heliocentric balls floating in a heliocentric universe. That's not what anyone believes. We're not a disk in space. You know, if you Google images of flat Earth, you're going to get all of these images, and these are all from the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society, which President Obama plugged a half a dozen times in his speeches, is a disinformation site to make you laugh at flat Earth and never look at it. It's a gatekeeping site, and no flat earther believes anything that is here. They have a tiny bit of truth on their site, and they mix it with this garbage just to make you believe that that's what flat Earth is. So let me explain what the flat Earth is. So think about a puddle. After a rainstorm, a puddle accumulates in the low spot in the land, and the edge of the puddle is just where the land is higher than the water surface. So now think of a bigger puddle, we'll call it a pond. Same thing. The shoreline of the pond is just where the land is higher than the water, okay? Now a lake, bigger, and now think of all of the world's oceans as a giant pond, okay? And the land that surrounds the shoreline is higher than the water. Therefore, it contains the water, just like a puddle, like a pond, like a lake. And that land, that outer edge, is Antarctica. Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a spinning ball flying through space. It is the shoreline that is higher than the surface of the water. Now, if you got on a boat and went to California or Florida or the Bahamas or England or whatever, you pull up to the shore, you get off the boat, you walk into town, and you go do whatever you got to do. But if you go to Antarctica, you don't get off the boat. The land is 200 feet over your head because Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. We live in the Antarctic basin, okay? We live in this basin right here, right? And this pink line is the 60th parallel of latitude, south latitude. And nobody is allowed to explore beyond that line independently. That's the Antarctic Treaty, 1957. All of the nations in the world that were, with all the problems in the world, before environmentalism was a word, signed this treaty, said nobody can go to Antarctica and explore it independently until the year 2041. But we can cut down the rainforests and we can do, all this other stuff, but nobody can destroy, we must protect the penguins and the ice. Okay, so Antarctica's off limits, and there's a good reason for that, because if we went to explore Antarctica, we'd discover we don't live on a ball. So that's the basis of what the flat Earth is. It's not floating in space. The best way I can describe it is we are the basement of the universe, and everything we see in the sky is within the Earth system, circling around us within the Earth system, okay? Planets, which aren't rocky balls, they're energetic. I don't know, we don't know what they are, because again, we're gonna talk about lots of flat Earth stuff, but anything above our heads or beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. Happy to speculate, but there's plenty right under our feet that can prove that the Earth is flat and stationary. So that's what flat Earth is. Now let's just look at what the heliocentric model is. The heliocentric model says that we're on a ball, 24,901 miles around, that's spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. This is what you have to believe. So that means that when you're watching the sunset, you believe that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. This is what you have to believe. And that's making the sun appear to go down over a physical horizon. Now, you're on a ball, and that ball is turning, and the sun is stationary. So if this is the sun, I'm here on the ball, and because it's turning, it looks like the sun sets to me. That's what you believe if you believe in the heliocentric model. Now, I'm going to say some crazy things, and I'm going to say some things that make sense. The crazy things are all trying to describe the heliocentric model, and the things that make sense are going to describe the flat Earth model. So while you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour, you're orbiting the sun at slingshotting, going faster and slower, slow down, faster and slower. You're orbiting, changing speed, 66,000 miles an hour, and you're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. That entire system is moving sideways at 1.2 to 2.2 million miles per hour. This is the heliocentric model that you have to believe if you believe the Earth is a ball. All of that is happening, all of those motions, and those aren't linear motions, those are curving motions. So think about a curving motion. If you were in a car going 100 miles an hour on a perfectly straight, smooth road, and you had a dinner plate and somebody poured an inch of water on that dinner plate, no problem. Now, if that car takes a turn, slight turn, what's going to happen to that water? We have all of those motions, and we have lakes like this, mirrored lakes without no sloshing, no nothing. We're able to build rock pyramids like this that are balancing on a speck of sand, okay? but all of these motions are happening. And another thing is, so in the heliocentric model, we're flying every day, we're traveling millions and millions and millions of miles every year, billions of miles. But if you go out tonight and mark where the stars are at whatever time, 10 p.m., midnight, whatever, make a little star chart, and then next year, same night, go out, same time, those stars will be in the exact same place. That's impossible in this beehive, crazy heliocentric nonsense. And I can get into the science behind how gravity can't possibly work. Look at this. The sun's traveling, we're orbiting the sun, and all of the other planets are orbiting on that same plane with us, while the sun is moving and curving around, but all of those planets stay on that same plane and keep up with the sun. That makes no sense. They're just, the things that we call planets are within the Earth system, and they're circling above us on their own path.
With the flat Earth, who cares whether, I mean, in the words of Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make?
So before we get there, let's make our case first, and then you could throw in what difference does it make, and I'll explain how it makes all the difference. But wait, hold on, counselor. You're going to, at the end of this, we're going to look at the evidence, and you're going to show me what evidence you have for the globe, and I'm going to show you what evidence we have for the flat Earth. And what you're going to see is I'm going to have a pile of evidence, and you're going to have absolutely nothing that is presentable in court. So
I disagree.
All right, so let's get to that point where you can present something. So we'll look at that. We'll go into NASA, and if I could show you that someone is a liar, a deceiver once, then you really can't trust whatever else they do. But if I show you twice, that's even a better case. And if I show you 50 times, you pretty much can disqualify anything you hear from that deceiving person. So if you want to get into NASA, I will completely destroy NASA. And so you can never believe anything, including the non-photos of Earth that they claim that they don't even have. So that NASA is one road we can go down, but let's just start. I was showing you the planets spinning around and everything, and how if you look into what's called the three-body problem, they can't even model three bodies that have gravity on a supercomputer, let alone 80 in our, or so in our solar system, and billions in our galaxy. They're all supposedly working on gravity, but the sky is a perfect clock, right? The stars reset every year. The planetary alignments can be calculated centuries in advance. Eclipses repeat every 18 years and 11 days or something like that, okay? They repeat, they're not random. But, in a supercomputer, if you put a big mass and says it's got this much gravity, and a small mass, it's got this much gravity, put it into orbit, you can calculate where it's going to be for the next 10,000 years. But if you put a third body in there, another moon or anything orbiting around one of those, the entire model falls apart, and no computer can make it work. So that's science showing you that the gravity model is ridiculous. Gravity is just a theory that needs dark matter and everything. But my point is, the sky being a perfect clock is evidence that these stars are fixed in their position and circling above us within the Earth system. Let's talk about the science. The Earth is 24,901 miles around. There's a math formula that will tell you what that curvature drop is. If you go forward on a tangent line with the top of the Earth, in 1 mile, the Earth will drop 8 inches. In 2 miles, it's not 16 inches, it's not 8 inches per mile, because that would be a ramp, because the Earth is curving off faster and faster. And the formula, the scientific formula from the people that have the degrees that you respect, is 8 inches per mile squared. And what that is first mile is 8 inches, second mile 2 times 2 is 4 times 8 is 32 inches, 3 miles is 6 feet. So a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water should only be able to see the surface of that water for 3 miles, and then that water should drop behind a physical curve of a ball. Okay, that's a fact. And If you go out 10 miles, it's like 66 feet of drop. So we've done experiments where we have a camera a foot off the water here, 1 foot off the water, and the horizon should be 1.2 miles away. But this oil rig should have 59 feet of curvature according to globe math. But not only can we see the water here, we can see the water from miles beyond it, miles. This isn't even a great shot because we can zoom in and see the surface of the water, which should be hundreds of feet behind a physical curve, but we can see it. We have hundreds of videos showing boats moving and all sorts of stuff, but we can see too far. So
Dave's getting this stuff and he's criticizing how people are educated in school, yet he's being educated in a way that is far more loosey-goosey than what people are.
Let me comment on that.
Sure.
So my comment on that is, you made the comment before that I get it from YouTube. Well, does YouTube have useful information on there? Sure, they've got great information, and they have garbage. They have everything's on there. It's just a platform where you can host information. It used to be a platform where you could host truth, but they've eliminated most of that. So loosey-goosey is no, I'm actually looking, experimenting, testing ourselves. We did that test with the curvature calculation, proving, hold on, you gotta let me finish. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. It's provable. There's no curvy water at rest. And we can see farther than the ball horizon it says we should. And people say, well, maybe the Earth is bigger. Well, we could see distances where the Earth would have to be over 1,000 times bigger. Okay, 1,000 times.
The leaf is curvy. I mean, water can have a meniscus.
No, hold on. You didn't hear what I said. Large bodies of water provably lay flat. We've done it over frozen lakes in Alaska, not Alaska, in Germany or wherever it was.
You need to just believe stuff like you're saying that the sphere Earth or so. I mean, you're just making a bunch of claims. We see no evidence whatsoever. You're just making claims.
Teddy, tell me where object where I make a claim. The Earth is 24,000.
Your claim. I mean, where is the evidence? You're just saying.
I'm presenting evidence right now. Let me see if you can hear it. The Earth is 24,901 miles around. Is that a claim or is that actual?
Claim. What is your?
Well, I agree with you 100%. It's not. So hang on. You got to let me talk because you're not hearing. This is what science, globular science, says that's the size and the sphericity of the Earth. Globular science says the curvular formula is what I explained earlier. The globular science says you should not be able to see something at a certain distance unless it's X number of feet high. Otherwise, it'll be behind a physical horizon. That is not a claim. That is science with a sphere. She's saying I'm making claims, and I'm taking things from the internet. Well, I'm using the internet. Like you claim that NASA has proven the Earth is a sphere. I'm taking things from NASA's website and showing you that they're lying.
But what about our personal observations? And to see whether our personal observations link up with what we've been told. Because really, now, I'm not saying that our personal observations are everything, like some flat earthers say, because there's such a thing as optical illusions. So it's not everything, but our personal.
Is that an optical illusion?
Is what?
Is this flat horizon with the sun right there an optical illusion?
I mean, I'm just seeing what you've got on the screen.
It's a video from 120,000 feet where the Earth is supposedly spinning 1,000 miles an hour below that balloon. And when that balloon came down, it landed east of where it took off, which is impossible because it should have landed west because the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour. But it's up there showing that the Earth isn't moving and that the horizon is still at eye level and flat.
Okay, so in terms of looking at all of these details, because you've been studying this.
I know more about the globe than the people that defend the globe.
You've been learning about flat earth stuff for apparently years, you said, I think.
here.
And, you know, I've had zero interest in
So
the
this,
shape of
yeah,
the
So maybe you'd call me the witness expert, and you.
No, I would say that
okay,
you,
that's great.
I don't see why our government would have a motivation to lie about the shape of the earth, especially since this goes way back.
My point was that you don't see a motive, and that without a motive. Have you ever had a trial where you're defending somebody and then you couldn't see a motive, and then the motive was shown to you later? I'm going to show you the motive. I'm going to show you the motive. Okay, there is a
trial where it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't see the motive right now. That just means you don't see the motive. I'm going to show you the motive. I'd like to go through discrediting NASA.
So
How about we start with what makes you think the conspiracy started 100 years ago?
Because we have witnesses, we have living witnesses that say they were taught the earth was flat in the 1920s and 1930s. We have newspaper articles that show that was the truth.
Who are these witnesses and how do we know what they've said?
There's interviews. We have interviews, and I'll show you where to.
Interviews. I mean,
well, you want me to you want me to give you all the links right now?
I'm just saying.
My point is, we've made videos showing you the witnesses, showing you the articles, showing you all the stuff. Conversation. You're willing to hear what I'm saying, and I stay quiet while you're talking. So we're not going to get anywhere unless we take turns explaining things.
Yeah,
you're getting a little triggered.
Somebody mounts a whole bunch of information, presenting it as fact, and it's not. And if you don't just jump in, then the audience thinks that there's just this whole laundry list of things that are accurate, that we have no foundation to believe in it. And if you just that's why a true debate is where it's live action back. So there's constant fact checking.
Teddy, you every statement you make, I'm listing all of the things to respond to. Rather than interrupt you, I let you finish, and then I will respond to every single thing that you made without interrupting you, so the audience can actually hear what you're saying and hear what I'm saying. That's all.
Monologue.
It's not about the shape of the earth. It's about knowing who you are, where you are, and what power you have. And if you can be deceived that you're living on an infinite speck, flying through an infinite universe, where your actions and thoughts don't have any power, then you could be deceived of anything and you can be controlled. It's all about control. Everything in the world that's going on right now is about controlling your mind, because they don't want you to know that your thoughts create your reality, and they're controlling your thoughts with television, with lies, with fear, and with insignificance. That's it. There's the motivation. So you say you don't see any reason. Do you think that the governments of this world are trying to control us? And the answer is absolutely yes. I'm going to answer for you. Absolutely yes. This is about control. If you don't know who you are, where your feet are planted, and you're lost in space, you give up your control. You know, discovering that we live at the center of creation, and that we're not in fear of being hit by an asteroid or being taken out by a nuclear bomb or anything. It gets rid of the fear. It shows you that you have significance and that you have importance and that you have power. And I've taken my power back, and my life is amazing right now. I'm going to show you guys my app, which is the solution to Google censorship. And then all of the things where you said, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? I'm going to show you the app will connect you to all of the evidence. Far better. It shows there's no curvature. And then the only global argument is refraction is magically lifting up the water that's beyond the 6 mile horizon or 3 mile horizon and lifting it right up to eye level and no higher. But it's not lifting up the oil rigs. It's just magical because it only lifts up the water that's hiding behind it. The whole refraction argument, again, I'm going to show you 100 different videos with the app that'll show you how refraction is completely and 100% eliminated from this observation.
You bash NASA, where there are lots of employees, so that it's pretty.
How many employees are at NASA?
I have no idea, but all I know.
That's right. You don't. What if I told you there was less than 5,000?
Okay, but there are less than 5,000 people in Congress, and we hear leaks all the time. People
And have you heard any NASA leaks? There's plenty.
People don't keep secrets
Do you
very.
hear what Buzz Aldrin said about being on the moon recently?
What did he say about?
He said we never went to a little girl. David Rodriguez, a guy, he's a pro boxer. He told him, he said, Buzz, I know you've never went to the moon. And Buzz looked at him, patted him on the back, and goes, "You're a smart kid," and walks away. You know, so that's not proof. I got you. It's interesting, but again, I'm going to show you So hang on. You can't say there's whistleblowers. You don't understand coercion. You don't understand. There's people at NASA that don't know that it's all fake. But here we go. Thank you for asking, because I'm going to show you. Let me ask you first. What proof has NASA given you that we live on a ball?
How about a photograph?
Photographs. Excellent. So hold on. You're gonna have to let me talk a little bit more than you, because I'm gonna present the evidence.
You do a lot of talking, and I'm listening. And you know.
So photographs. Do you know that NASA says they don't have any photographs of Earth? They never use the word photograph. They use the word image and picture. Here are two images that NASA has. This one's called the blue marble. This one was on everyone's iPhone when it came out. Look at the United States here. These balls are the same size. And look at the United States here. It's twice the size. The problem is this one's tilted back. So if I took this one and tilted it back, the United States gets smaller, doesn't get bigger. It's twice the size there. Okay.
Well, I'm trusting your graphics here.
Well, so don't trust my graphics. Go to NASA's website and look for these images. Hold on. These are NASA images. I'm talking. When you're talking, I can't hear you. So if you want me to hear you, hold your hand up and I'll stop talking. Okay. All right. So this is the guy that made this. His name is Robert Simmons. He works for NASA. In a NASA interview, he said that he made it from Photoshops. He had strips of data and he put it together and he made it in Photoshop. This is the 2012 picture. Here's the United States. I took it on a map that shows all the land in its proportions. Here it is. Here's what we're seeing on this ball. You have to believe that all of this land, all of this, all of this, all of this, all of this land is on the other side of that ball.
Okay, the blue marble image was done in
Photoshop. The guy from NASA said he made it in Photoshop, but that's okay. What if he just made it in a beta program? What if he did it by hand?
What they did, I read somewhere that they
You read it on the internet, right?
Yeah, but what they were doing was they were taking some images to splice it to give a good full picture. But
Right. You read it in a NASA propaganda video where they had to splice it together. Why are the clouds stepped and repeated?
Well,
I don't even remember where I read. I don't think it was a NASA thing. But
I know where you read it. I saw it too.
there are photos of the Earth that show it as a sphere dating back to the 1960s.
No, there aren't. There's none.
So
you know what?
So
What?
let me ask you a question.
One at a time.
These are from NASA. Which one is the photo of Earth? Which one?
You know what? Why do
Which one do you think is a photograph?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay, but these are all from NASA.
You know what? Let's forget about NASA.
Okay. So wait, hold on. Happy to forget about NASA, but you can't use NASA as evidence of the globe. So far you have zero evidence of the globe.
How about we focus on what we can see even with our own eyes?
Okay, we can see too far. Go ahead.
So-
Hang on. You guys need to let me show you that your evidence is from liars. So here's an actual picture of Jupiter, right? In 2016, NASA said, hey, we got pictures with our new camera of the northern lights, right? I say they're fake, but you say they're real because it comes from NASA. But if you look at this is a stormy, gassy planet. This storm is bigger than the Earth that's been spinning for as long as we've been photographing NASA. But if you overlay these pictures, every little cloud, every little thing, see this little cloud right here? It's right there, okay? The same one. It's the exact same picture. These are both from NASA. NASA claims they took them over 2 years apart, and they're the exact same picture. NASA is lying, and you're believing it. These
Why
pictures.
don't we get to the real issues,
Let's.
like horizons,
Okay, wait.
Oh, wait,
I'm gonna-
horizons.
I'm
Let's
gonna-
go.
I get the.
evidence for the ball, all right?
Yes.
The sphere.
We actually got that backwards. In the winter, you actually do see farther because there isn't this temperature inversion. You have the cold air, there's less humidity in the air. When you look over distance at humidity, you see these terraces, they're all the same size, but as you get lower, they look like there's thinner terraces, but they're not. They're all the same size. So it's called atmospheric compression, and they get compressed into this horizon here where your angular view is too small. And because the horizon's rising to eye level, you have waves that are blocking part of the building. But this is just compression. This is not curvature. And the way you can tell it's not curvature is because it changes every day. It changes hourly. We have time-lapse photos across a bay where the land and the buildings disappear and then reappear all day long, depending on the temperature and the amount of humidity in the air. It's not curvature. It's just optical illusions in the distance.
Well, if it's optical illusion, if you're admitting that there's these.
I'm admitting that what you see in the distance down near the horizon is compressed and you can't see it. But the fact that we can see too far proves that, you know, and we can see things clearly. Like we have a shot, a time lapse, 24-hour time lapse of the Chicago skyline. The very tops of those buildings, the tallest buildings, are the only thing that you should be able to see. But not only can we see the entire thing, through a 24-hour changing temperature, changing light conditions, changing humidity, the buildings stay there the whole time. And the only explanation is that it's a mirage, but we took care of that. We got on a boat, put a camera on it. Hey, we can see the buildings, and they went all the way across 50 miles, whatever it was, and the mirage never appeared, disappeared, or moved. They just got closer and closer to the buildings. So they proved by keeping a camera on it, actual science, that it's not a mirage. So we're traveling billions of miles a year. We're going 86,000 miles to the opposite side of the sun every year, back and forth. But somehow the pole aligns with the North Star perfectly. And we're told, one of the arguments is, well, in 45,000 years, it's going to be pointing towards Vega, or a different star. Well, I'm not going to wait 45,000 years. And 45,000 years earlier, it was pointing towards another star. But we happen to live in the time right now where the North Star is exactly over our center. That all of the stars circle around the North Star. That even though we're orbiting, spinning, and whirling in all these different directions, the slowest motion, the spin of the Earth, makes us see star trails around the north. Okay? There's time lapses of circular stars over the north, infinitum. In the south, it's a whole different story. It's different. And again, looking up in the sky, the optics in the sky, if there is a dome, is very, very confusing. And it's really, again, it's over our head. It doesn't really prove anything. But the fact that the North Star stays perfectly still where it is says that we're stationary and these stars are spinning above us around a center point. Go ahead. I'm showing you physical evidence that you can test for yourself. You're unwilling to hear my brick explanation of how the angular resolution limits of our eyes are hard. We can't see things when they're so small. And when you raise your height up, you're increasing your angular view. Here's a fence, right? Here's a guy standing on the other side of a fence. Are you listening? Here's a fence, okay? And here's someone's head on the other side of a fence, okay? This fence is above your eye line, okay? Right? I got to bring it above the camera. It's above your line. As the person walks away, they set. Did you know that if you stood up, you could see the guy's head again? If you went back down, the head would go back down. So what I'm showing you there is when you stand up, you can have a better angle of whatever's blocking your view. In the distance, you have mountains, trees, land. Over water, you have the atmosphere that becomes opaque. The cloud deck over just 30 miles merges with the horizon. Your eyes can't tell the difference between the clouds and the horizon, and that creates an opaque deck. So when the sun goes away and then you stand up, you can see the friggin' sun again. That's exactly how it happens, and I have proof of that.
Is
Here's
that
a
hilarious?
here's my proof. 30 seconds, and then talk away. Right? I had my drone, and the sun was up here, and over 5 minutes, the sun went down, 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 and it stopped going down. It sat here for 10 minutes. This is sped up 2,500 times, okay, or 2,500%. So it just sat here for 10 minutes, and then instead of dropping down below this horizon, watch what happens. It just fades away. Now, my friends at the beach, it's going to show it again right over here. My friends at the beach,
Yeah, that looks
my
fake.
friends at the beach saw the sunset from the bottom up 10 minutes earlier. I'm watching the sun just fade into the distance.
That
Okay.
looks like a weird video. That does not look realistic at all.
All right. So again,
Well,
I have a whole playlist of videos with the documentation, where they are, when they are, the original video, the unedited video. I have it all, but I can't do it in this 2-hour presentation.
Okay.
All of your videos look very manipulated, which is what you constantly claim that NASA does.
Yes.
Okay.
This is your video.
You know, so I don't even understand how day and night work
Yeah,
with
you don't.
Earth model, much less how the seasons work, how
Okay.
you see an inverse in terms of the constellations between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, where they flip and you can't see in the southern
All
hemisphere.
right, so you're good. You're going on 100 points. Let me address what you said already. Okay, go to one end of your room, draw a 6 in the middle of your ceiling, and go to one end of your room and look at that 6. Then go to the other end of your room and look at that 6. It's a 9. That's how things are upside down in the inner and outer hemispheres. Okay, they're not. You're not upside down because you're upside down. They're upside down because you're looking at it from the other side. That's all. All right. So
But how do you do that on a flat Earth?
the flat Earth with a you draw a 6 on the ceiling, and then go to the inner area is the north, the outer area is the south. You're looking at the 6 from 2 different sides. It's a 6 and a 9. It's flipped around. It's simple. You're not upside down. You're just looking at it from the other side of the room. Here's 2 shots of the moon taken at the exact same time in the northern and southern hemisphere. One's in the daylight, one's in the night, and they're upside down. It's just because they're looking at them. So the other thing you have to remember is, if you have a single source light lighting up a ball, it would light up a hot spot, and then it would be smooth. It would fade out towards the edge. When we look at a full moon, this thing is so bright, it's lit edge to edge. I contend that the moon is its own source of light, and we can prove that. If you magnify moonlight, it's cold. Unlike magnifying sunlight, it gets hot. If you're in the moonlight, it's colder than in the moon shade. If you're under a shade, it's warmer. Testable, repeatable, done it. So let me talk. All right.
One more.
You have to believe that this dusty, dirty ball right here is reflecting light all the way back to Earth, so bright that you can read by it in the middle of, away from any city lights or anything. That breaks the inverse square law of light, which I'm not going to explain because it's math and it's probably above what you're willing to understand. So here's the problem. You have a single source light, the sun, lighting up the moon. If the Earth comes in between, so if this is the sun and this is the moon, the Earth comes in and the shadow eclipses the moon, right? That's how you explain an eclipse happens. Well, guess what? There's over 50 documented Seleninian eclipses where the observer on the Earth can see the moon, can see the sun, and can see the moon above the horizon, and the eclipse starts already. And not only that, the eclipse doesn't start from the bottom, it comes in from the top. Here's what makes it worse. If you take I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to make it worse. So here's the clock. Here's the Earth. The sun is the hour hand on the Earth. It goes around once a day, right? Once every 24 hours. The sun laps the moon once every 28 days. So the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon and its phases keep track of the weeks and the months. And if I slow it down and I turn on the stars are spinning slightly faster than the sun, and they keep track of the seasons and the years, right? So because the stars are going a little faster than the sun, the sun will move backwards into each constellation for about a month at a time. And that's how the sun remains in a constellation for that month. So I turn that off. I can show you the time zones. if I turn on the time zones, you can see right now that it's 3 a.m. in Australia and it's 6 p.m. in Johannesburg, South Africa. The sun, wherever the sun is, it's noon and it moves around. So I'm going to show you how seasons work now. Seasons work the following. Right now, the sun is almost near that outer yellow line. That outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. The sun migrates in between that inner yellow line, the Tropic of Cancer. And when it's over the inner yellow line, I'm going to jump it forward. If I bring it over, so now we're in June. So in June, you'll see that the sun is over that inner line. So that's over the inner northern land. So it's our summer because the sun is closer. Imagine a plane flies over your head. It's directly over your head. Now a plane at the same height, just 10 miles to your side, looks way lower in the sky. Well, that's why our sun is lower in the sky right now, because it's away across the plane and it's lower in the sky. We have shorter days. It's colder because it's farther away. So that's how the seasons work. The sun moves in and out. The app does a whole bunch of other things, but it shows you how a compass works. The north is at the center. East and west are circles around the center. Millions of people have circumnavigated the earth going east and west. They've also gone straight up, like from the United States, straight line, and then now they're going south. So I'm going north, 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 north. Now I'm going south and boom, I'm in Japan. Okay. That doesn't prove the flat earth or the globe earth because it can be done on both. The thing that can't be done on both is on a flat earth. You can't go from Johannesburg and pop up over in Australia. You could do it on a ball, but nobody's ever done it. No one's ever circumnavigated heading south. The thing I want you to see is if you hit the question mark, up come all the questions like, what about boats over, what about southern flights? How do southern flights work? Or how, we talked about seasons, how do seasons, or the big one, ships over the horizon. I hit that. Here are all the videos of us videoing ships disappearing over the horizon and us zooming them back in. Tons of videos that Google won't serve you that teach you how your eyes work, how perspective works, how angular resolution works. Then if we go to the next page, we have all sorts of information. Bottom right-hand corner, mud floods, mud floods and Sakari on the bottom right. So you've never heard of it? If you click that button, I would bring food and water because there's a ton of stuff. Different languages. And what I say to people is, get the app. On the bottom left-hand corner, every day there's a new video. Short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekend mostly. And take the Flat Earth App Challenge. Watch one video a day for 2 weeks. And inside that 2 weeks, you'll know that you don't live on a spinning ball because it'll show you everything. And what happens is people say, Dave, I didn't want to wait. So I hit that little archive button next to it and up come all of the videos of the current month that we're in. And if you hit the little hamburger at the top, all of the other videos that have been featured on the app. And again, it's a ton of information and it'll show you what Google won't show you. So that's how it works. Anybody that wants to know the truth, the app is $2.99. You're buying me a half a beer. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it just to pass the message around. And there you go. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Back to you.
These conspiracy theories and just where they're coming up with these alternative explanations that don't seem to jive with reality is they throw a bunch of information at you real fast that you really can't assess, and it all sounds really, really like smart and like, wow, look at that, mind-blowing.
Teddy, let me just interject one thing and then continue, please. Is we've tried to get Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, the all these top guys. None of them will talk to us. The ones that have talked to us, the lower ones, they bail out. They're like they realize that there's a problem, but none of them. They say the science is settled. Okay, and there's no reason to ever talk to us.
I've been
because they can't.
you know, with the ship disappearing and where you can see the top of the ship.
You've explained that already, and I'm telling you, you can see it that way, but then you could zoom in on it and bring it back again. It has to do with the angular resolution limits of your eyes, and I'm telling you, in the video, Ships Over the Horizon, there's more than a dozen videos that are showing you exactly what you're asking for. So that is an assumption on your part. Can you see my house right now? Because if you can't, it must be because of curvature, right?
I'm on a big mountaintop.
So hang on. Our eyes can't see forever. You can't see across an Olympic-sized swimming pool underwater because the water, even though the water is clear, it becomes dense. Over distance, the light reflecting off of a mountain can't see it. But we have examples of the same type of thing. Don't interrupt. Let me explain. The same type of view where you should be able to see Mount Canigou from Illusion, France, but it's over the horizon, except 2 days a year, the sun will go beyond that mountain, and the mountain, you can see it outlining the sun because you can't see the light reflecting off of it, but the sunlight can push that distance. And not only should the top of that mountain should be a mile below the curve, we can see the entire outline of the mountain backlighted with the sun being backlighting it. So that's not because of curvature. It's just because your eyes can't see through that much atmosphere. But the sun does it twice a year. Everyone can see that exact same thing. The top of the mountain should be a mile below the curvature, but we can see the entire mountain.
I don't know. I don't know anything.
I don't know because you haven't looked, but the information's in the app. It'll show you the videos, and then you can go, oh, I didn't know that. Now I have new information that my only proof of the Earth being a globe is not a proof because it was just disproved. You can go see these things yourself.
I'm just
You're saying because you can't see it on a certain day, that means that the Earth is curved, or does it mean that the atmosphere is just blocking your light and you can't see that far?
The Kawakini and the Mauna Kea thing, you know.
Do you understand that you can't see forever? You can't see forever. The air becomes opaque. Light, as I showed you, the sun will fade out where it can't even push through, and you're expecting reflected light off of a mountain to be able to push through. I make short statements, and I keep talking when you're talking because I just like to finish what I'm saying. I showed you that the sun can't even push through, and you expect reflected light off a mountain to push through at 300 miles? You're out of your mind.
A telescope can see the moon, and it can see
straight up through very little atmosphere. And the moon is within our system.
You're interrupting too.
You're right. My bad.
Light enough to not mention when you do that.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're interrupting. That reminds me of like Kamala Harris.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead, Teddy. Yeah, that's right. There was interruption on both sides. So.
Again, a telescope, you can see a huge distance. With this Hawaiian example, with this mountain that's 13,800 feet above sea level, you should be able to see with a telescope 303 miles away an island, okay, on a flat earth. But you can't because of the curvature of it.
No, you can't because of the atmosphere.
No, on a clear day you can see it. I mean,
so you can see. Is the water in a swimming pool clear?
It's fairly clear, I guess.
Okay, and the atmosphere is the same. It's just thinner, right? Over distance. If you go out west and look where the mountains are, and you can see mountain range after mountain range after mountain range, each one gets lighter and lighter and lighter until you can't see anymore. And that just has to do with the thickness of the atmosphere. It has nothing to do with that. I showed you with the sun fading out that the sun's light can't even push through on a clear day.
You think that it has nothing to do with the curvature of the Earth?
You're assuming it's curvature. I'm showing you there's another reason you can't see it. And then I proved to you with the Illusion France video when you go see it that we can see that far.
Is that going to have zooming in and out? Like
no, zooming in and out. Just a regular shot.
And I don't, okay. All right, good. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so we are at 12 right now. So I'm going to end it. At this point, if both parties are agreed, if you guys have anything, final words that you think are really important that we didn't get to mention that you guys want to raise for the audience? Or
Final comment is you can lead a man to flat water, but you can't make him think critically about the shape of the earth.